Chapter 1 The Havens. A hidden village in the mountains was mercilessly burned to the ground, its residents running in terror. A man dragged his wife and daughter out of the village. "We can't stay here any longer," he said. "But where do we go, John?" "Don't worry, my darling, I'm sure we will be able to find a new home." "That's what my father said 400 years ago, but we are still being persecuted till this day." "Leah, are you ready to see our new home?" Mother asked with a smile as the carriage kept bouncing up and down. "What is there to look forward to? We are only going to be living here for 5 years. Actually, my little Dahlia, I'm thinking of staying here for at least 10 years this time," Father said eagerly. "I got it from one of our mortal constituents. Trust me, this is the perfect place for us. People have been disappearing in this area for years. The name Haven has a firm foothold here, so we'll use it." "And how do you explain our sudden arrival?" "The late Lord is our uncle, and we are to inherit his grand estate because we are his closest relative." "And what's our story?" "There was an outbreak in our town, so we had to flee immediately." "Any casualties?" "Your older and younger brother." "At least it's not that hard to explain. Nobody wants to talk about death anyway." I smiled as I saw the rain clouds coming. "Look, dear, there's our new home." I then stared at the window and saw a castle looking over a small town. Meanwhile in the town. "Father, do we have to welcome the new arrival?" "Of course, Tyler, we have to know what type of people old Master Haven's relatives are. Let's not forget, they own a lot of the land around here. Besides, Emma and Edward will also be there to welcome them." Then the sheriff patted his son's shoulder and headed towards the castle. The mayor and the priest were standing by the gate. When the sheriff and his son arrived. "Tyler, sweetheart, why aren't you dressed properly?" the sheriff's wife yelled. "Mother, aren't you overreacting? What is so special about them? They are only inheriting a dead man's land. It's amazing that the old man lasted this long. Then again, he was already a dead man walking." Her son said. "Shush, don't even think about mentioning those tall tales of curses. We don't want to scare them. I just heard that the new Mr. and Mrs. Haven might have a daughter of a marriageable age." Tyler then rolled his eyes at his mother's words and he said to her, "You know, Mother Edward has more of a chance to snag their daughter. He is the mayor's son." She then pointed her finger at her son. "You are already of age. I don't care who you marry as long as it's not Emma or some random village girl. So my only choice is the Haven's daughter," Tyler said teasingly. "Oh, my. Looks like Mrs. Gale already has her sights on the rumored daughter," Edward said as he walked hand in hand with his sister Emma. "We'll see if they last as long as the old man. I just hope we have a chance to welcome them. I think it might rain." "Bad omen," Emma said as she looked up. The priest then said, "Not one more word about curses. Remember, we need people to occupy this castle otherwise. God help us." "Don't worry, the guard said that he saw a carriage with a lot of entourage behind it. I think they might be here soon," the mayor said. The carriage arrived just when it was starting to drizzle. A tall man with long curly black hair, wearing a black cape, came out of the carriage. "Oh, my goodness, thank you so much for waiting. We better get inside," he said as he took his wife's hand. A beautiful woman with gorgeous, brown hair, then stepped out of the carriage. Everyone was taken aback by her beauty. "Thank you, darling." "Oh, my gorgeous," she said as she looked at the castle. "Mr. and Mrs. Haven, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. I'm Mayor Greed, and this is Sheriff Gale. Pleased to meet you," they said with a smile. "Leah, dear, come take a look." Everyone then turned to the last person who had yet to come out of the carriage. Mrs. Gale, the sheriff's wife, nudged her son to help the girl out of the carriage. Tyler reached out his hand to receive hers. The moment she touched him, he felt cold to the touch. So warm. His heart started racing the moment he saw her face. Everyone was amazed at how beautiful the girl was. Her hair was so black that it made her porcelain skin look even more paler than it really was. Her lips were red as blood, and her cheeks had a blush of a pink rose. "Thank you," Leah said as she let go of his hand. "My name is Tyler, by the way." "Leah." "Mother, father." "I'll go first. I'm tired." She sighed heavily and walked away. "Oh, yes. You must be tired. We'll let you rest. But before I forget, we will soon be having the Harvest Festival for a few days. It will be great if you could join us," the mayor said. "Of course, we love to." If you like this story so far, subscribe so we can reach 1,000 subscribers. Leah narrowed her eyes at the sight of Tyler looking back at her. She walked inside the castle. "What do you think, dear?" her mother asked. "I don't know yet. But what do we do with our meals?" Leah asked. John then said, "Don't worry about that, dear. No one will point the finger at us. People have been disappearing in these parts since this town was established. Even before I decided to scout this place. The bodies will be thrown in the mine when we're done. There is nothing to worry about. Our stay here will be as quiet as winter. If you say so, father. I'll go look for my room now. I will help the lady to her room, madam." A lady wearing an all-black attire said. "Thank you, June." Everyone outside stared when 12 women got out of the wagon and went inside the castle. When evening came, Leah was staring at her vanity when June came in. "My lady, you should go out, if the weather is nice. I think you will like this place." "Is that because of the mysterious disappearances?" "Yes, I've long wanted to come here. They say that this town is cursed." "What kind of curse?" "They say that this land once belonged to a group of gypsies, before the church came and took it over. The priest then ordered them to be burned, but not before they put a curse on the land. Since then, bodies have been turning up left and right." "Fascinating. I would love to know more about this so-called curse." "Have a good haunting, my lady," June said as she left the room. When she heard mandarins play, she smiled. "This is the perfect house. Ingrid, do you see that?" John asked his wife. "Yes, looks like there is an evil spirit in our new house. See, I told you that this is the perfect home for us," John said to his wife lovingly. Over in her room, Leah was playing her violin while ignoring the ghost of a dead gypsy, who was watching her. "What do you think?" "What, nothing? You're just going to stand there and stare at me?" "Suit yourself," she then continued playing. "What a great night. I left the house this morning, thinking that I should learn more about the history of this place." Leah went inside a tavern. She sat in the corner window seat, staring at the scenery outside. Tyler went out of the kitchen, to serve dishes and take orders. "Miss, are you ready to order?" He paused as he noticed the person's porcelain skin. "I'm not familiar with these dishes," Leah said as she didn't want to order anything. Tyler smiled and said, "Then I suggest you try our steak. We make the best steak in town." You know, when servers say that they had the best steak in town, is purely for profit, right? Taste is subjective, as I may or may not like the way you cook your steak," Leah said flatly. "What will you have then?" Tyler asked again in confusion. "I told you. I don't know how good your food is," she said as she narrowed her eyes at him and sighed heavily in frustration. "Noted, then how about I get you some garlic bread while you wait?" "I'm allergic." "Regular bread it is then. You're the laziest server I've met. You're not even trying to do your job right." Tyler sighed and said, "I'll just get you that steak." "Oh, and would you mind taking off your hood? You kind of look suspicious with it on." Leah then took off her hood as she bit her lip. Tyler went into the kitchen and saw a steak that looked done and juicy. He took it out of the cast iron pan and served it on a plate with silver utensils and gave it to Leah. "That was quick. I hope it's to your liking." Leah then cut the steak and saw blood oozing out of the meat. This shocked Tyler as he realized that it still wasn't cooked. He was about to say something when Leah put a slice of the meat in her mouth. "This tastes good. Guess you do have the best steak in town," she said with a smile. Meanwhile, Tyler was dumbfounded that she liked the half-cooked steak. That he didn't notice her fangs and her eyes glowing red. "You can go now," Leah said as she snapped Tyler out of his daydreaming. He watched her as she sat in the corner, glancing at the window from time to time. "Are you going to attend the dance?" Leah then stared at him. "The Harvest Festival. No one asked me," she said in a nonchalant manner. "It's nearly sunset. If you want, I can escort you. My shift is almost done." Leah nodded and said, "Sure, how thoughtful of you. Are you ready?" Tyler asked. "I have been waiting here for ages," she said as she looked at him and stood up. As they went out the door, Tyler asked, "Since you're here anyway, do you want a tour of West Eden?" "What's there to see?" "This is one of the smallest towns I've seen in all my life." "Ouch. Although I find this town's name to be quite funny," Leah said with a smile. "Why's that?" "Eden is supposed to be a paradise, so why I'd put the word West before it." Tyler just smiled and asked, "May I ask, who are you mourning?" "My brothers. There was an outbreak in our city." Like this story, comment, and subscribe to be notified when the next chapter comes out.